I have a question. Every time I teach or anytime I preach, I always start with a question. Who is Al Carter? So, to answer that question, I wrote a story. I know some of you may be thinking, well, how long is this story going to be? But don't worry. I've organized it. I've condensed it. And it has a prologue, 9 chapters, and an epilogue. I knew you would say that. However, the chapters are short. I'm going to talk fast. You're going to listen fast. And you're going to hear a wonderful story. Prologue. I thought about the titles for this story. And I jotted some of them down. My computer consultant and vendor. My lunch and dinner partner. My accounting customer. My boss. The inventor. My client. The negotiator. Yeah. My business partner. My go-to problem solver. My electrical consultant. My business mentor, my cheerleader and my encourager, my cruising partner. But as I sat there over a tear-stained keyboard, I decided it would be my friend. Whatever. All of these titles at work, because whatever Al Carter did, he was exceptional at it. He was good at everything except one thing. Boats. They all sank. From Corpus Christi, Florida to Winter Haven, Florida, every boat he ever owned sank. And when the last one sank, and I was in the picture of the time of the last one in Winter Haven, Florida, when that one sank, Miss Debbie put her foot down. And I have it on good authority that Miss Debbie can put her foot down. And she said, no more boats. Chapter 1, the beginning. My friend Al was born in Massachusetts, lived in Corpus Christi, Texas, in Virginia, part-time in Florida, and in North Carolina. I was informed from Joan, his sister, that Al, on his first day of school, returned home, put his book bag down, stomped his foot, and said, I didn't like it, I quit. Even at an early age. He wanted to figure things out on his own. Al was working in the insurance business, and when he was, he hired Debbie Breen to be an agent. He told me one day at lunch, when she came in, I thought she was the prettiest girl I ever saw. And you know what he told me? He said he worked hard to make sure she passed the test. So she could be an agent, and she could be close by, and he could keep an eye on her. They then fell in love, and on September 27th, 1980, Al and Debbie were married. When they were married, Al had 3 children from a prior marriage, Kathy, Jack, and Kimberly. And from their marriage, 2 children were born, Amanda and Adam. I came into the picture between Amanda and Adam. Therefore, not only am I older than Google, I'm older than Adam. Chapter 2. My introduction to Al Carter. In 1986, 40 years ago, my family, moved to North Carolina. My son, Stephen, was 2 years old. I purchased computers from Superior Software, and that was my introduction to Al Carter. I once paid him $2,000 for a 250 megabyte, not gigabyte, hard drive. In fact, I teased him through the years. You charged me $2,000 for a 250 megabyte hard drive. Hey kids, Al and I have watched technology change in our lifetimes. It got smaller, faster, and cheaper. When we worked in the same office building just down the hall, Al would call me and he'd say, Ed, come here. You gotta see this new CGA monitor, it's called. And then a short time later, hey Ed, come and look at this monitor, VGA monitor. The resolution is so great. And then come and look at this color VGA monitor. He was excited about technology, and so was I. Then he said, come and see this luggable computer. Every time I bought new computers. By the way, I want you also to know that Al was a negotiator. I've often said, if I ever have to sit at a negotiating table with Al Carter, I pray to God I'm on the same side. In fact, one of my dreams, and I've told people this all over the country, even in my family in Indiana, I said, one day, it is my dream that I will have enough cash to buy a new car. I'm going to give it to Al, tell him what I want, and for one time in my life, I will get a good deal on a car. Chapter 3, Al's career path. I don't remember all the details, but Al told me about many jobs he had as a young man. He was not lazy. He was absolutely the opposite of lazy. As a manager of an insurance business, Al saw a way to simplify the reporting task for agents. It worked so well that Combined Insurance, yes, the big company, took note and implemented it for all of their agents. It was from this project that he obtained the seed money to launch his own software business, Superior Software. He told me about the months he worked in the office above the little garage on 17th Street, writing that software. In fact, one day he took me up there. He was already out of that, but he took me back and took me up there. He said he told Debbie one time, I'm going to keep doing this until here, and if it fails, then I'm going to go do something else. And he said on the last week, he went out, and I can't remember for sure, but he told me he sold 3 or 5 systems that week. And that launched Superior Software. Al wrote a software package that revolutionized video stores. He sold to video stores all over the Southeast. He formed Paramount Leasing and leased computer systems to many stores. He built and managed a successful mini-storage facility. Chapter 4, first kid on the block. Al, the inventor and entrepreneur. He did what others couldn't. When he saw a problem, he solved it. He was often the first kid on the block. He saw things before other people did. Not only did he revolutionize sales managers at Combined Insurance, he built a mini storage facility. And when he did, he needed gate operating software. So he wrote his own. Not only did it operate the gate, it took a picture of the people coming in. Now, some of you sitting here, some of you younger ones, you say, big deal. That's easy today. Well, the difference is when he did it, it was a big deal because nobody else had done it. He was an inventor, a visionary. And when he needed a security system, DVRs, which are so commonplace today, Ring cameras, they didn't exist. So he wrote Surveillance Manager, so he could manage the security for his facility, whether he was at the facility or away from the facility. He studied and took the general contractor's license test and became a general contractor. He built and sold houses. He built, managed, and sold apartment complexes. Chapter 5, working together. I've had the privilege of being a part of Al Carter's businesses across the years. I've set up accounting system, trained his employees. I've helped get his books ready for the tax man, by the way. Did you know Al Carter does not like to pay taxes? Every year about this time when we'd be getting it ready, can't you find another deduction somewhere? Yeah. I'm going to miss that. Al had long-term faithful employees. All of them would agree that Al went above and beyond to help them make their lives easier. Teresa, Richard, Lori, Wanda, Kim, Kimmy loved you, Woody, Picky, he loved you guys. When my software company began to grow, I needed my first employee. Al recommended his niece, Jennifer. I hired her. She stood beside me for 14 years to build my company, and we were able to have software management in schools in 50 states and 7 foreign countries, all on Al's recommendation. Al trained Kim to run his mini storage and rental property. Chapter 6, my mentor. I started my software company, PCS, in 1992 and then Praxi Power in the year 2000. I modeled after what Al created in Superior Software. I learned from Al how to demo, price, sell, and build a company. I remember my first demo. I had written the software. It was in one church school, and I decided I could sell this. So I went into the demo. I lugged in a 17-inch monitor, and I mean a 17-inch monitor, and a tower computer, set them up on the church conference table and demoed a pastor. And when I finished, he looked at me and he said, "How many churches you got?" And I swallowed hard and I said, "If you buy, I'll have 2. He didn't buy. I called Al. I told him how it went. And he said, "Ed, don't focus on the length of your company. You are your company. Talk about your years of experience and service." And I went back, tried a different approach. 8 months ago, when I sold Praxi Power software, as I prepared for retirement, I called Al. Al and Debbie were on the phone. Because the last few years, when I called Al, Debbie was there by his side. And I told Al that I sold Superior Software. And folks, I want you to know Al Carter was giddy with excitement and happy for me and Brenda. I think he was as proud of me as I was grateful to him. Chapter 7, our lunch conversations. I've had lunch with Al Carter thousands of times. You say, now, let's not exaggerate. And I thought, I don't want to get up there and exaggerate, so let me calculate. And I know that there were 15 years that we went to lunch 5 times a week. That's 3,940 times. You say, well, you didn't go every. No, occasionally he had something else. Occasionally I had something else. But there's another 25 years when it wasn't 5 days a week, that it was 2 or 3 or 1. Even when I lived in Florida and he came down to his condo, he and I went to lunch. Listen in to some of our lunch conversation comments. Kim is a good one. I can trust her with my business. Here's the latest project Picky is working on. He's a good one. We often discussed his dad. In fact, I have had multiple times that I had lunch with Grandpa present. I had the privilege of creating a little handout for Grandpa's funeral in 2005. When Al came back from Massachusetts, he asked me then, when I die, will you do my funeral? Al's mother passed away in 1965, his dad in the year 2005. We often talked about Granny, that's Debbie's mom, in case you don't know. Yes, Al loved his mother-in-law. He helped her a lot in the final years. Granny died in 2005, the same year as Grandpa. I've heard about Kathy's nursing accomplishments. I've heard about Jackie's career achievements. And when he moved to North Carolina and remodeled a house, and I thought, that's all a lot like his dad. I remember when Al gave Kimberly a car. I followed Amanda's academic career. He told me with fatherly pride and her work and career as she moved up through Red Hat and IBM. He boasted of Adam's paths through college. And so many times he said, Debbie is so good to me, especially after his health began to decline. I heard about his sister Joan. He told me about stories about his nieces and nephews and grandchildren. He told me about the times he stepped in to help in a time of crisis. You know what I'm talking about. My message to all of you is that Al loved and cared for each of you. But Debbie, my friend, Al loved you and was so grateful for your love and care. Chapter 8, my memories of Al Carter. Wiring a mini storage with security cameras, discussing and working on programming algorithms, discussing pricing models for my software business, having a chef salad at Miss Lucy's or a veggie stir fry at Ichabod. Christmas parties in the office, celebrating New Year's Eve at the restaurant by the lake, discussing programming on the phone, getting a call on my birthday, talking on the phone as we would update each other on the progress of our businesses. Phone calls at least once a week, cruising the Caribbean, wading through above-shoe torrential rain in Cartagena, Colombia. Yeah, we did. We did. And I remember the little boat ride back to the ship. We were drenched. And the excursion company was trying to make sure we had a good time. So there was a Colombian dancer on the boat. And I remember when my son was dancing with the Colombian dancer, Al was sitting over there just smiling and clapping and having a good time. Playing games on the Lido deck while we traversed the Panama Canal. Debbie told me that was Al's last trip. That means that was his last excursion, because when we got to Guatemala, he didn't feel like getting off the ship. Chapter 9, comments from Al's children. Arul Salgado Picky, we know him as Picky. He's an adopted son into the Carter family. Here's what Picky said. I can say that the time I spent with Al Carter consisted of great learning experiences in my life, personally and professionally. He was a mentor to me. I remember the words he told me. If you want something, you will have to make it happen. He will always be in my mind and in my heart. I want to thank God for giving me the opportunity to learn from him, and for his family accepting me as an adopted son. Kimberly O'Keefe. I see all the photos and see a man who loved his family very much. My heart hurts for the moments we will miss him in the future. Our prayers to all who will be missing him. Kathy Fernandez. My dad was strong, confident, and he was always there if I needed him. And he was for everyone close to him. He was inspiring, kind, generous, and funny. Our family times together in the mountains and at the beach will forever be cherished. I love you, Dad. Jack Carter. Al Carter was not just my father. He was my mentor, my confidant, and my friend. He believed in me when I doubted myself and encouraged me to keep going, even when the road was hard. His love, guidance, and steady support shaped who I am today, and his influence will remain with me always. Adam Carter. Dad was more than just my father or my role model. He was my best friend. I remember all the adventures we'd go on, just the two of us, from sneaking out for breakfast early mornings on the weekend so that he could let Mom sleep, into trips all over the place, just the two of us. The loss of my best friend and father on that snowy day left the world feeling just a little bit colder. His absence left a void in my and many people's lives, and that will likely never be filled. Amanda Carter. Over the last few days, I have been reflecting on the lessons my dad lived that will stick with me forever. Find a partner you deeply love and respect. A love like he and my mom's is rare and irreplaceable. Support and invest in your friends and family above yourself. It's the right thing to do, even if that goodwill isn't returned. And never, ever let anyone stop you. Carter creativity and tenacity can overcome most obstacles. I may never be able to match my father, but I will spend the rest of my life trying hard to be more like him. The epilogue. We will all miss Al Carter. It feels like a pillar has been removed. But I want you to know something. Al would not want us to be weak. We'll take time. We'll shed a few tears. We'll comfort each other in grief. And then I could hear him say, lift up your head and get back to work. Often, I will stop, reflect, and remember my friend, Al Carter. Dear Lord, thank you for the life of Al Carter. Thank you for his friendship, his love, his caring. Lord, I could go on. We thank you for his life. I pray for your comfort for this family and friends that are here today. In the name of Jesus, my Lord. Amen.